Okay, journal talk. Good morning. So, I want to start a new series because I've been getting a lot of, you know, I'm healed. I think I went through the process. I'm good. But I'm having the conversations that's saying something opposite, right? So, it brought up a good point for me. And I said, people may not know exactly what it means to fully be healed, right? Or what that looks like. Because a lot of the times we can just have conversations with people, we can let time pass, we can even go, through therapy um, and still not be healed. We can have the illusion that we are, but when we're actually faced with the things that caused us to have that sore point, it comes out, or it comes out in just general conversation, right? So this new, series that I want to start, it actually has five too, like the five stages of divorce. As I was going through them and doing my journaling, I said, this is how I know when I'm speaking with someone who says that they are healed, but they are not. It's quite evident because their conversation is, you can tell in their conversation, it's different, right? They're triggered, excuse me, they're still triggered when they say that, they've dealt with the triggers. They haven't. They're still triggered on, on certain points. Excuse me. Mm, mm. Did you guys just see that? Quiet. Um, Also, their actions, say something different. When you're healed, you have a certain gratefulness and thankfulness for the process, for the experience. I don't, I don't see that happening, right? And then also the fruits of the labor. It will show in your life. Things should be happening in your life that should be an exact, hey, hello, should be an exact result of how you're living, right? And where your mindset is. So if your convos are the same, your triggers are the same, your actions are the same, you're not grateful and thankful for the process, the experience that you went through, and you're still kind of, surfacing around that angry type of stage, or, still harboring feelings, negative emotions and feelings for, your ex. You haven't reached that gratefulness and thankful process, or our point yet. You're not quite healed. And if I don't see, or if people don't see, more importantly, if you don't see a change in your life, a tangible change in your life, you're not at that stage yet where you can really say, I'm healed and I'm really ready to live in purpose, to walk in my destiny, to do and accomplish the things that I want in my life. So that's why when I was doing my journaling today, I said, you know what? I need to break this down a little bit further. And I can't do it all in one sitting, right? Because it really is like five different levels that you do want to go through, or not even levels, because you can kind of experience them at different times, but they're just stages, right? Or just different points. So I'm going to start off with, I feel like the first kind of telltale sign is when you're starting to, or you may have already transitioned from the hurt stage to the I am healed stage, right? After your divorce. First, your conversation. We're going to start with the convo. Tomorrow, I'll do the trigger. The next day, I'll do the actions, then gratefulness, and then, really living in that purpose, the fruits, the vibe, all of that. So today, I want to talk about the conversation. Ladies, if your conversation is still the same conversation that you've been having since you've been struggling in the marriage about, he doesn't do this, or I can't believe he did that, or I don't know why, we had to go through the struggles that we had to go through. I know I played my part, but he also this. And when your conversation is still there, you're not healed yet. Even if you're just talking to your friends, when you're in a place of healed emotions, your conversation changes. You don't even think the same way anymore. So therefore, the words that you put together, in your mind, it looks totally different. So when I'm having these conversations and I ask them about their experience, and they say things like, you know, I'm healed, I've done all of that. I don't even, worry about him anymore. I don't talk about him anymore. I'm just so over all of the BS. I'm over all of the women. I'm over all of the lies. And, what he did was this, and that. And I'm just at this place where I don't even really um, react to him, anymore. So when you're having those conversations, the first thing I hear is, but you're still talking about it, and you still see it in a way that aggravates you, and it's still a trigger point. You still have emotion behind the conversation. And ladies, words are powerful, right? Words really are a reflection of what we're feeling in our mind, and our mind is a reflection of what we're feeling in our hearts, right? And when we're feeling it in our hearts and we're saying it out of our mouth, all of that works together and we feel it physically, right? Your heart rate starts to go up, you get flustered and frustrated, your body temperature and all that may change. So you're really literally taking yourself back through the same experience that you had in that situation when you were angry, right? So all of those things play a part. So when you are totally healed, it doesn't hit the same way, right? The conversation, how it flows is different. So the way that I talk about my ex now and the way that I used to talk about him is two different ways. Now I have nothing negative to say about the situation, honestly. There's lessons, there's things that I would say that I wouldn't do again. There are points of epiphanies, right? But there's no anger, there's no negative emotion, there's no negative charge behind the words that I say. So all that to say is be careful how you're talking, right? Be careful about the conversation. And just, side note, be careful who wants to engage in the conversation with you, right? So if you're finding yourself talking to the same people and you're having that same conversation, that, negative charge, hello, negative charged, conversation with those people, that's a telltale sign that you probably need to stop talking to those people, right? And we actually get into that in the course about knowing your tribe and knowing your people. Sometimes there's a shift that has to take place. It may be for the long run and it may just be for a short time, but sometimes people can actually add to the stress of your situation of trying to heal and get and move beyond your divorce, right? Because they kind of keep that conversation or you in the same line of thinking. And every time you get on the phone with them, you're talking about the same thing, you're reiterating the same thing, you're hashing out the same thing. That's not moving you forward, right? Sometimes you can think that it's moving you forward because you're trying to get all of that out. And, we've all grown up or grew up hearing that talking it out can help. Yes, but to a certain extent. And that's why I'm a strong believer in coaching and not necessarily therapy. I'm going to get into that a little later because I know now that that's a topic that I really need to kind of hone in on so people have a really good understanding between the difference of counseling and therapy and coaching, right? And just really briefly, therapy is it's a great tool to look back on where your the emotions came from, right? Where the trigger started, where it may have originated from, right? Now, coaching, on the other hand, we look at that, but very quickly. We're very forward thinking. Okay, so that happened. We identified it. We know what it looks like. We know what it smells like. We know what it feels like in your body. So now that you know that, what are we going to do to move past that, right? How are we going to create the life going forward? We're very forward thinking and minded, whereas therapy is more, let's bring up, the problem so that you're aware of the problem, which is necessary too, right? But that's a whole nother topic. Today, I really want to hone in on, how you know you're healed. First, your conversation has to start. So today, homework assignment. So when you feel like you're starting to talk about, the divorce, talk about your ex, talk about the divorce experience in general, right? Or even the marriage in general, how are you framing it, right? What is that is it more in the negative or is it more in the positive? Because energy flows where energy flows, right? So if your energy is flowing to the negative, the rest of your day, the rest of, your the things that you're bringing into your life is going to reflect that. It's kind of like when you're having a bad day, right? You just seem to, like, everything seems to just like be bad, right? Like you stub your toe in the morning and then you're out of coffee and then somebody cuts you off. It's because you're on a negative frequency. You're in a negative energy flow. So you have to be able to change and disrupt that negative flow. And when you start, your day or even midday with negative conversation, that's typically how your day is going to flow until you do something to shock it, right? Until you do something to change the direction of that flow. So the best way to do this is to not even engage in the conversation, to identify it, to check it before you go on on a tantrum, right? So how you know that you're healed? Step one, check out your conversations. Look at your conversations. How is it framed? And if you do feel like you need to talk about it, which is okay, try to talk about it in a negative light, right? Try to have a positive spin on it no matter what. Even if you're noticing that you're starting to kind of flow into that negative complaining or anger stage, switch it up, identify it and say, okay, but you know what? Yeah, that happened. Yeah, he was like that. Yes, I reacted this way. However, now I know better. Next time I'm going to do this. Or what I could have done was I could have done this. Whatever it is, you know what you need to do in order to change the vibration, right? So that's what I have for you today. I can't spend too long because today's my birthday and I got plans, right? So anyhow, I love you all. Have a blessed day. Happy birthday to my girl Bliss as well. And happy birthday to everyone else whose birthday is on today. Ooh, on today. I'm showing my age, and my church girl is really coming out. So yes, 41 today. So love you, ladies. If you have any questions or any comments or anything that you want me to talk about on these lives or kind of break down a little bit, share them with me. I want to know. That's why I do these, so that I can share these tools and these strategies and just bring some insight, right, to the things that I've gone through, the things that I've taken many other women through. So I'm here to help you all live your happy, healthy, and whole and prosperous, thriving life after divorce, because y'all, there is happiness on the other side of your healing, right? But you can't fake the healing. You cannot fake it. You can tell yourself you're healed. You may be even able to fool other people, maybe even yourself to some degree, but you can't fool the energy, right? You can't fool universe, right? Spirit. Can't fool God. And so what will happen is you'll be going through life saying that you're healed, but then your life doesn't reflect that. Your internal being doesn't reflect that. And then you wonder why you're still going through the same up and down cycles and stuck in between those stages that we spoke about last week, which are the 5 stages of divorce, and stuck in between anger and depression, because you're saying you're healed, but you're not, right? So we really want to dig out all of that stuff and get you to the place where you are happy, where you are smiling, where you are charged and motivated and energized and living your life to your fullest potential, because it is possible. Yes, there are strategies and there are tools that you do need to learn in order to get there. It's not as, I'm going to say it's simple, but it's not easy, right? There's simple strategies, there's simple tools executed in the right way. But it's not an easy journey. Healing should be difficult. I will tell you that. It doesn't have to be long, though. It does not need to take years sitting in somebody's, chair or couch talking about all of this stuff and trying to get to a better place. Healing can be speedy. It could be expedited. It could be fast, but it needs to be right and needs to be done in the proper order so that it can last, so you can have lasting change. Real quick, and then I'm gonna go because I hear him calling me. I was just having a conversation with someone via DM, and she said she has been divorced for 23 years and still struggling. 23 years, that's too long. That's a whole lifetime, pretty much. 23 years. So you spend, I don't know how many years in your marriage, and then you get divorced, and then you're unhappy for 23 years. Think of what you could have accomplished in 23 years. What kind of life could you have built? What kind of legacy could you have left behind? 23 years, y'all. And I'm sure within that 23 years, she was putting on the fake smile, and she was going through life and relationship to relationship and friend to friend saying that she was okay. But it showed up in her life as not okay. Because like I said, you can't trick universe. You can't trick yourself for that long, right? And you only can pull the wool over, someone's eyes for so long before they see that, you still have those triggers. Tomorrow, we're going to talk about the triggers, right? And really how to identify those, and how to get to the other side of those triggers so that, the triggers don't become your hangups, right? Okay. All right. See you guys later. Love you. Take care.